watching the Bulldog Brewhouse Podcast.
Hey everybody, it's Steve Grover. We're back for another episode of the Bulldog Brewhouse Podcast, and hopefully everyone's doing well. I mean, it's the end of November. We're coming up to the holiday season, obviously. Friday is Black Friday in America and Canada, so, get your shopping boots on and get out there and get some super deals. Obviously, I'll be busy litigating cases, and maybe on the weekend I'll have a little break to go out and do some Christmas shopping and find some super deals during Black Friday. But, we're here for another podcast. We're back here in Calgary at the office in the boardroom, and I've got a good friend here, Kyle from Newly. And Kyle, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Steve?
Good. So I know you. I know who you are. I know you presented with me at the annual Pain Society of Alberta conference down at the BMO Center in the middle of October. But tell my viewers a little bit about you. Where are you from originally?
Sure. Well, technically, I'm from Calgary originally, but we moved pretty quickly when I was young to Saskatoon.
Yeah.
Lived there till I was about 10. Still have lots of family out that way. Then we moved back to Calgary. So really, I feel like Calgary is home. Most of my memories are here.
Yeah. And how did you like living in Saskatoon?
Yeah, I didn't mind it as a kid. Like, my grandparents were close.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I remember it being cold, and obviously we go back lots to visit and stuff like that. But had some good friends there and things like that. But I think I've really enjoyed growing up and living in Calgary since then.
Okay. And so what's your background? Like, you work for Newly?
Yep.
And how did you lead to that kind of position, like education-wise and work-wise? What's your history on that?
Yeah, well, I'm a registered nurse by training. So coming out of, my mom is a registered nurse, and she works in mental health, and my dad is a firefighter. And I don't know, I guess I just looked at them and thought, this seems okay. So I was really considering being a firefighter for a while. Okay. And then I thought, I like the flexibility of nursing. Like, you can work all over, lots of different fields. You can easily kind of do travel work, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I went into school. I was going to go to Mount Royal, but I was lucky to have an opportunity to wrestle for the UFC. Yeah. So I went to UFC, did my schooling there, and then I've worked in mental health ever since. So I worked inpatient psychiatry in the hospital, outpatient addiction type work. I worked at a private mental health hospital in Australia for a while. And then when the opportunity at the Newly came around, because it was founded by one of the psychiatrists I had worked with before in addictions and chronic pain, it was a no-brainer for lots of reasons. It was seamless transition, and I started doing a lot of kind of like intake and community outreach work, managed the Calgary Clinic. And now I'm our National Director of Business Development and Marketing, which I think is really just a fancy way to help bring our programs to people, help offer the services that people are needing across the country. So
all right. So you went to UFC for registered nurse, which I heard is a good school.
Yeah, it was really good.
And then you wrestled, so you're like a WWE wrestler?
Yeah,
like Hulk Hogan?
I wish. No, that would pay a lot
what kind of wrestling
better,
did you do there?
So like freestyle wrestling. So like you see in the Olympics.
Roman wrestling?
Yeah. So there's Greco-Roman, which is one version, and then freestyle is another. So they're both in the Olympics. I didn't make it to the Olympics. But
so what's freestyle wrestling all
Freestyle
about?
essentially means that you can attack the legs.
Yeah.
So in Greco-Roman wrestling, it's upper body attacks. You can't sort of defend or attack the legs. Okay. In freestyle, you can attack the legs, upper body, everything as well too.
So you wrestled during university for 4 years?
Yep.
And what was your record?
I can't even remember. It was pretty good most of the time. There were some bad losses too. I don't know the whole record. I had some good opportunities. I won a national championship in 2016. I think it's a long time now. I think 2016, So I was that gave me some opportunities to wrestle internationally and at the World Championships and the Pan American Championships and things. So it really gave me a lot.
So what kind of weight class were you in?
I was in, most of the time I was in 72 kilos, like 154 pounds, or 70 kilos, which is, I think, 149. But back then, you used to weigh in the day before you wrestled. And I wasn't the most technical, but I was strong, and I could cut a lot of weight. So I would cut tons of weight to get down to those. And then they changed it. You started weighing in the day of the competition. And I said, forget that. I had to move up 3 weight classes just so that I could perform.
you cut till the day before.
Yeah.
Then you weigh in. You
Yep.
get in the weight class, and then where would you
Yeah.
be at, like Pizza Hut, having a pizza that night?
I think that'd probably make me. Oh, I mean, it'd be tempting. It'd probably make me sick. But lots of fluids.
Yeah.
I always like getting like pho, like Vietnamese soup or something like that
Okay.
to replenish some pasta, things like that. Usually
Okay.
feel better. You end up getting it into sort of like a science. Like you have a system that works for you, and everyone's is a little bit different
Okay.
as well. But
So as a
yeah.
registered nurse, did you practice as a nurse for a while?
Yep, I practiced
area?
for nurse. I still do technically.
But what area?
Yeah, always mental health.
Mental
Yeah,
health?
mental
And
health and addiction.
So what attracted you to mental health?
So actually, my mom worked. She was a charge nurse in mental health, and I kind of done some volunteer and some sort of like entry, like almost like administrative type work while I was in nursing school.
Yeah.
I always thought I wanted to work in things like the emergency room or the ICU when I was in school, and I had some exposure to that. But what I found about in mental health and in the addictions world is that you really get to know these people.
Yeah.
You get to have like good quality conversations with them.
Yeah.
When I was working and doing schooling in the medical units, it's fast paced, and those nurses are great. They're doing amazing work, and they're working like their butts off. But it was really like task based. And I liked in the mental health side of things, you get to know these people, you get to have good conversations with them, sometimes really hard conversations. And you see like such a variety of individuals too. And
Okay.
that to me was just a really great fit. I
So
enjoyed it.
obviously as a RN, you worked with doctors, correct?
Yep.
Psychiatrists,
Psychiatrists,
and
yeah.
some counselors.
Counselors, yeah. So
okay.
Even at the Newly so where
Well,
I was,
let's talk about working as
Sure,
an RN. We'll get
sure.
into we got a whole hour, so
Yeah,
slow down, okay?
get ahead of myself.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
because we'll be
efficient.
done in 5 minutes, okay?
Yeah.
All right, but let me
Yeah.
just ask you some questions because my dad was a surgeon
Okay.
and my mom was an RN.
All right.
And then obviously mental health is a big, like my dad was old school surgeon, like 50s,
Yeah.
60s trained.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is mental health has become a big issue just recently in the last 10 to 15 years. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
And why is that?
You know, I don't know if it's really changed, become like if it's more.
Well,
relevant.
it's more in
I
the
think it's more
public eye.
talked about,
It's more in
yeah.
the public eye
Yeah.
now. Like, you know, I was at Safeway
Yeah.
and they had a sign about teens and mental health. We're here
Yeah.
to support you. They've got a kids helpline now.
Yeah.
You know, sort of when I grew up, you know, just, you know, toughen up, don't worry
Yeah.
about it and just move on. But what has changed in society that you've seen that mental health is more of an issue that people are willing to address and be more open about it?
Yeah. You know, I don't know if I could put my finger on like one thing. I think there's a variety of different factors. I think people are more willing to talk about it.
But
They're
why is
mo-
that compared to 20 years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, you're in
that's
the
golden
area.
question. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess just efforts to, educational efforts
Yeah.
and societal efforts to say like it's okay. I
Yeah.
think things probably reach like a tipping point, where they kind of shift and people say like, okay, we got to start doing something about this because
Yeah.
too many people are in the hospital, or too many people are not getting services, or too many people are dying by suicide, or those kind of things. And it reaches a tipping. Gains momentum and reaches a tipping point to where people say, okay, we got to address this. We got to start talking about it.
So is there a bunch of funding now through Alberta Healthcare to service people like psychologists and RNs and psychiatrists on the mental health aspect?
There is. I think,
Yeah.
Depending on who you talk to, they probably feel that's under.
Well, we could always have more money,
Yeah,
but,
you can always
but
be
has
more
there
money,
been more
but-
funding going from healthcare to that area now?
Yeah,
Okay.
healthcare, so in the provincial system is kind of complicated. More recently, Alberta Health Services
Yeah.
broke into a variety of different pillars. And I think the intention there, not to get too political or anything, I think the intention there is to try to really dive in on some of those areas, especially recovery, mental health and recovery. But we see it even from employers. Employers are setting aside more money for mental health treatment. Things like funders like WCB, insurance companies are setting aside more or providing more opportunities or lanes for treatment
So
as well.
they're
too.
realizing it's a big problem.
Yeah, they're realizing it's affecting people in
And
lots of ways.
now you're saying that, like, I like to sit down and talk to these people and,
Yep.
and I mean, can it be draining to talk to someone? Like, if someone's on the cusp of, they have
Yeah.
PTSD,
Yeah.
post-traumatic syndrome, severe anxiety,
Yeah.
major depression. How do you cater to that? You understand?
Yeah, definitely. I think any job can be draining, but hopefully if you're doing something that you enjoy.
No, but you're talking to these people.
Yeah.
And what is their condition as an RN when you see? Were you working in the
okay.
hospital?
Yeah. So when I was working in the hospital,
Yeah.
so in the hospital, to get admitted to the hospital, most of the time people have to be pretty unwell. So probably
Mm-hmm.
like an acute, like a psychosis, a schizophrenia, maybe a manic episode, someone with bipolar, or pretty severe depression. There's people who are, of course, admitted for other reasons as well, too. But usually people are at a really challenging time in their life where they are unwell. So the hospital becomes more around stabilization, medication changes, getting people, out of a psychosis, ready to a place where they can be discharged to kind of do community-based work that might be maintenance or to help increase their level of well-being from there. But the hospital, yeah, it's pretty heavy. It's heavy work.
So what are the causes of mental health that you saw as a registered nurse in the mental health area? Like, what do people come in, like, is there a death in the family, or they can't deal with financial issues, or it just runs in the family? Like they say sometimes it's organic in the brain if you have depression or something like that.
In the hospital,
What do you see
that
the sources you see?
most of it is organic. I
Yeah.
think I gotta go back. That's a while I was working in the hospital. I'd say most of it is organic things that, like schizophrenia, like genetic disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar, major depressive disorder, those kind of things. And then there's all kinds of other life events that can precipitate worsening of those symptoms as well too. So there can be, a series of events or things like PTSD, people exposed to a series, one event or a series of events.
Okay.
Yeah, post-traumatic stress disorder. So that could be a series of things like witnessing a fatality or near fatal accidents.
Yeah.
It can be, people, veterans or soldiers who are deployed and see, a lot of violence. There's a wide range of things. And then there can be all kinds of life events, deaths. There can be like incredible financial hardships. There can be people whose lives are sort of turned upside down through relocation, job loss, financial stressors, all kinds of things. Yeah.
Okay, and then obviously you became an RN. You're telling me your dad was a firefighter.
Yep.
Your mom was an RN.
Yep.
But I don't know if you've seen the movie Backdraft with Kurt Russell. It's pretty cool to be a firefighter.
Yeah.
But what was like? I know why people become doctors because they want to actually help people medically or health wise. And why did you pick the RN route other than just saying, okay, mom's this and dad's this? Was there a passion you had for helping out people?
Yeah, definitely. There's a big passion to help. I knew I didn't want to sort of like work just behind a desk or
But
just
what
like
about
in front
working?
of a
My
screen.
dad was a surgeon. What about working in the OR?
Yeah.
Did you ever think of that?
I don't think I could do that. I
Why
think that's
not?
not, I don't know enough about it. I didn't work in the OR, but
Yeah.
nothing about it appealed to me. It seems like
Why
it's
didn't
very sort of tedious type work. Like maybe I would say it's not dynamic. That's probably an understatement. Some OR nurse is going to say, like, what are you talking about? But I wanted something where there was a variety of different people. You're having different experiences, different interactions throughout your day. You're working with a variety of colleagues and clients too, and mental health space really provided that. There's all kinds of people. You would have 5, 6 clients like that, all with different concerns, all with different experiences in your day, and it keeps it really refreshing, really interesting, and it makes it exciting to go to work.
So are some of these people that come to the hospital when you treated as an RN, were they highly medicated or were they on medicine at all?
Some were,
Yeah.
some were, especially people experiencing psychoses or schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. Usually most people in the hospital were on medicine. A big part I would say of the hospital work is to help people better understand and be in a safe place, but also implement medicine changes that help them essentially be safe or be okay or comfortable in their day-to-day lives.
So when you work as an RN, I mean, obviously you got the healthcare, Alberta healthcare, and it's kind of broken up now.
Yeah.
But obviously someone gets admitted to the hospital, you see that person with a psychiatrist or psychologist.
Yeah.
What is the goal to get, is it a goal to get that person out of the hospital and back and functioning in the real world again?
Yeah,
And how would you do a step program with? Is there kind of a step program? Because I
that
find this
would be-
interesting because
Yeah.
like my dad was an old school doctor.
Yeah.
Just toughen up.
Yeah.
Like obviously now brain injuries have become a big issue now with the NFL, NHL.
Yeah.
A concussion's just not your brain is rattled. Now you have to go through concussion protocol to come back and play on a sport.
Yeah.
So what's the goal? Like obviously you're working as an RN as a psych in the mental area.
Yeah.
Is your goal to get these people better so they can get out of the hospital and function as a normal person?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think one thing about mental health that maybe is different than surgery, and I never worked in surgery, so I'm making a lot of assumptions here, is that it's not as much about, say, there's a surgical repair of a bone. With my limited knowledge, I think the goal is quite obvious what they're trying to do. I think in mental health, there's a goal of getting these people better, but we see such a wide range of that because everyone's ideal or everyone's better can look quite different. For some people who are quite unwell, it might be stabilization enough to get them into sort of a housing program so that they have safe housing, regular housing, support staff who can, give help work with them, making sure that they're having what they need. Things like financial concerns are taken care of, that they are able to get any medicines that they need, that they're able to connect with therapists, those kind of things. Other people's version of well-being could be, fully back into their day-to-day lives, getting back to like work, that kind of thing as well too. So there's a huge range, and I think the approach is dependent on the individual, on their symptoms, on their diagnoses, and those kind of things. So sometimes it might be like a step, like titration of medicine, and we're providing support, watching for side effects, making sure that the symptoms are reducing, how's the person doing, that kind of thing. It might even be helping people getting their sleep kind of back in order. They might be undergoing other treatments like ECT or TMS while they're in the hospital, and you're making sure that that's going okay. So from a nursing perspective, I think a lot of it is supporting the clients, providing education, but then also kind of monitoring how is this person doing over a period of time, right? So you have to really be up on your charting. What have they, what have the past kind of few days or the past week, or what were they like when they came in versus how are they functioning now too, right?
Okay. So, do you think society's doing enough to address mental health or probably not?
Yeah. Can you ever do, I guess, enough of anything?
Well, at the end of the day, so it's come to the forefront the last 10, 15 years. It's more advertised. There's there's helplines, stuff like that. People can go on stress leave and get disability. Yeah. But what's the best way to counter, mental health issues in the society? You understand? Because obviously we're in Canada. Yep. I've traveled the world. I think we live in the best country in the world. Yeah. Okay, that's my opinion. Yeah. But we all want people to come to this world. Yeah. And be part of life. Part of it. Yeah. Set up their life, get a family, have a job, produce for society, and leave something behind. Yeah. But some people get off tangent. So in the big picture, you've been in the healthcare system. Yeah. Has it been addressed enough? Yeah. And what is stuff we can do to help people just get back and, have a normal life, you understand?
Yeah. Probably not. It's hard to, there can be access, there can be really long wait times to see psychiatrists or to see therapists through the healthcare system. Yeah. But I think healthcare, in my personal opinion, in healthcare in general, could be far more preventative too, right? Because when people are experiencing these mental health concerns, most of the time they don't understand them. They have no idea what's going on. They don't know where to get the help. And I think there's a lot of preventative things that can happen.
So give me an example. I've heard this ever since my dad I was born, because he's a doctor. My mom was a nurse. What is preventative to help address mental health so people can, stay away from counseling and not be admitted and function like a normal person and take care of their family and enjoy life? That's ultimately what we want. When you use the word preventative in the healthcare system, especially mental health, what is it that the society can do or the healthcare system going to do to prevent that? You understand?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think there's, again, a huge range of things. I know that there's countries that spend time in school systems and youth really educating people to better understand their emotions, understand how that impacts them, understand coping mechanisms, healthy coping versus unhealthy coping, the importance of kind of having emotional skills to regulate yourself, to be able to interact with people, communicate with people, and how your mental health can be impacted by some of the decisions that we might make in terms of things like isolation or certain behaviors as well. And then I think you also see it sometimes in specific instances as well. So in certain jobs or certain careers that we know have a lot of exposure to things like trauma, now we're seeing a big shift by a lot of great organizations who are really trying to give people the information they need so that they can say, hey, I think something's not right. Like these calls are causing some concern, or I'm not out myself, and we can intervene earlier. The earlier we intervene in any healthcare condition, usually the better the outcome is. So I think the more that we know about it, until the point where people are coping, they're holding on, and then finally, for lack of a better term, maybe like falling apart or saying like, I don't know, like, are being put off on leave or saying, I don't know what's going on and it's quite drastic, I think preventative measures can help, so that the intervention doesn't need to be as intensive.
So you talk about occupations that are trauma related that can
Yeah.
lead to mental issues. What's like when you're in the healthcare system, RN?
Yeah.
Was there certain occupations you saw that created a lot of trauma that you'd have to deal with on the
Yeah.
mental aspect? What
Yeah,
occupations are those?
that were really exposed to a lot of trauma,
yeah.
for sure.
Like which
So
ones are
obviously, military,
Yeah,
right? That's
well,
obvious.
Yeah, you ship you
We know that.
overseas. Yeah, what's another?
Yeah,
area?
the first responders,
Yeah,
right?
EMT people,
Police,
firefighters,
fire,
police,
EMS,
yeah.
dispatch, corrections.
Yeah.
One that was really interesting to me, and I just didn't know about, I didn't have a lot of experience with, was corrections as well, too.
Like prison guards.
Yeah, prison guards, and
yeah.
how much sort of first responder and medical, and then obviously once you work with one, or when someone says that to you, you think, oh yeah, that's obvious, right? Like you're in anyone's heard of what can happen in a prison, and largely it's the guards responding to that and managing that, and the amount of violence and
Well,
medical
some guards
situations.
can
Yeah.
be jumped
Oh,
on.
yeah, jumped,
and, verbally abused by prisoners. Stuff like
attacked,
that. Yeah.
sabotage, all kinds of things, right? Or they're breaking up, they're intervening in conflicts as well, all kinds of things, right? So
Okay.
that was really eye-opening for myself personally. It felt quite obvious after. And then I think, too, one area that is like the healthcare system as
Yeah.
well. Just if you think of everything that happens in a hospital, people
Yeah.
passing away, the stuff that's coming in to
Yeah.
an emergency room,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And even in the mental health wards or the mental health units that I worked in, there was some really surprising stuff that you just don't expect, or that you just don't kind of know is going to happen, that can be quite
Well, I mean, obviously,
obvious.
okay, like you're a surgeon, okay?
Yeah.
My dad was a general surgeon, like appendixes, gallbladder.
Yeah.
That's what I kept on saying. Hearing,
Yeah.
taking out cancer growth, stuff like
Cancer,
that.
yeah.
But you're like, isn't it expected you go in a profession like that, you're going to see patients die,
Yeah.
even on the operating table. There's certain things you can't do, correct?
Certainly.
But is when you're in school as an RN
Yeah.
and you've gone through the UC program,
Yeah.
are they teaching you anything about how to deal with trauma? Like, say
No,
you're
I don't
taking
think
care of
so.
a patient.
No. Not that I
And-
can remember.
And there's
Yeah.
a mental issue. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, he or she commits suicide.
Yeah.
Do they teach you how to deal
No.
with that?
No, definitely
So
not.
you think the education system has to address that better with nurses and doctors?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think it's not just in healthcare. Like we're seeing it. It's changing. Like that was when did I guess I graduated, when did I graduate? 2015, 2014, around there.
Yeah.
And so I think like people meant well, and I don't think it was any lack of wanting to. I think just people weren't thinking about it like we are now, and now you're seeing that more information coming about how to deal with that, how to prepare for these kind of things, because there's certainly a sentiment that says like, well, isn't that part of the job? And sure, and I think people know going in that they can be exposed to these things, but I think one thing you can predict is just how it can impact people, or the repetition, or when it happens and you realize, geez, this isn't working well for me, this is impacting me. You don't know how to navigate that. And it can be really hard,
So
and
do
you
you,
can feel
you
isolated.
think UFC's nursing department, if you're going to go into nursing, they should have a trauma course?
Yeah, I
and
think so.
help
They might
you?
now. They might
Yeah,
now.
okay.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
not up to date on the
But
school.
obviously,
but they might. But definitely,
yeah.
I think nursing, nursing in UFC, but any school, nursing, medicine. I do know of some medicine programs that are starting to do that. They're kind of
Yeah.
preventative measures to help people, to help their medical residents, their medical students acknowledge that, learn, but also be able to work through that as well too. Definitely.
So obviously, like every generation has their issues that happen. Like, obviously ours is COVID. That happened for 2
Yeah.
years, and now we're 3 years out from
Yeah.
COVID. Did you see a spike in the mental?
Definitely.
And why is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Because I keep on reading about that, and it was
Yeah.
kind of like interesting for me. Like I think it was March 16th, 2020, the whole world shut down.
Yep.
I mean, I remember like the whole
Yeah.
streets in Calgary empty. The cops are out. There's helicopters. It's kind of like a movie, like
Yeah.
28 Days, a zombie movie.
Yeah.
But
Weird
what
time.
has precipitated like a spike in mental health with 2 years of COVID? Just the isolation or something like that, or what has been the problem?
Yeah, Steve, there's probably some data, like some scientists have probably studied this that I'm
Yeah.
not aware of.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen,
Yeah.
kind of like on the ground in my work,
Yeah.
isolation, absolutely.
Yeah.
Conflicts, there's a lot of tension, a lot of conflict at that time. People unsure, unhappy with this or that or on across the spectrum, right? I think that can be really challenging. It can wear on people's routines. I think we often underestimate how important routine is for our well-being. And when you get taken out of your routine, the impact that can have. And not only were people taken out of their routines, but their routines were constantly adjusting, right?
Yeah.
And then I think the other aspect is that uncertainty. People tend to not like uncertainty, and there was a lot of uncertainty at that time.
Yeah.
When are these restrictions getting lifted? Am I going to have a job?
Yeah.
Am I going to be
Yeah.
laid off?
Yeah.
Like all these kind of things. That can really wear on people, and if there's already a certain level of anxiety or stress or concern that's there, you add kind of this an event of that magnitude on top of it, it can really make bring those things, I guess, to
Yeah.
the surface. And
Well,
plus, it's hard to access
yeah.
services
Yeah.
too, right?
And I think it's important, like, like everyone wants to be liked or be part of a social circle. But
Yeah.
would you agree you have to be comfortable with your own body and being by yourself?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I think, yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
have
mean,
to have a certain level of like baseline comfort.
Yeah, like
or-
staying at home and watching
Yeah.
TV, not worrying about the phone ringing or going out for coffee, stuff like that, the quiet time.
Yeah. I
What
don't know. I
about-
guess I haven't thought about it like
Yeah.
I think some people, I don't know, I've seen people
Well, I
who
think I've
seem to
just-
really do need that to be.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, isn't it a character of a true person who's just comfortable by himself or herself?
Yeah, I
You
guess
know?
that's kind of like a stoic principle.
Well,
to
and
be-
yeah, and then
yeah.
also the issue is like, being by yourself. That my dad always said you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you just
Yeah.
mentioned about people like, well, I don't like change and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
stuff happens. Wouldn't you agree with
Yeah.
that in life?
Yeah.
Why are people struggling with, like, I think you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
But why do people struggle that if you're in the mental, in the
I don't
background?
know.
You don't
I think
know?
if we had that figured out, like life
Yeah.
would be pretty easy.
No,
I
it's
think
not.
Yeah, I think if we had that part figured
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
but we don't. And I think that what you see now a lot in the mental health space as well is resilience training. So
Mm-hmm.
helping people comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you're right, everyone agrees with that sentiment. I think most people would,
Mm-hmm.
but it's one of those things where we don't quite understand.
Mm-hmm.
You don't understand it, or how do you get comfortable being uncomfortable?
Is it the fault of our own culture? Always like,
Yeah.
social media, like, you want to be liked, you want to have friends, certainty in life and all that crap.
Yeah.
But the thing is, life goes up and down. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Always, yeah. There's always ups
Yeah.
and downs too, yeah. And I
Okay.
think that, I would probably agree with you that there's a lot of societal influence or various influences that push for people to feel like everything has to
Wanted.
be okay
Yeah.
all the
okay,
time.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily, I would agree with you there that
Yeah.
I don't think everything does need to be
Yeah.
okay all the
Okay.
time. But for some reason, and maybe it is social
Yeah.
media or
Yeah.
just influences in today's
Yeah.
culture that, we feel like, oh no, maybe gratified or okay.
Well, everybody wants
status
to be
quo.
liked, but in the end, if
Liked,
you don't
yeah.
like me, it's no big deal. You
Yeah.
know, I got to take care of my own life.
Yeah.
So have you?
Probably has to like yourself,
Yeah.
right?
But have you seen? Has there been like a generation that's been drastically affected with COVID, like a younger generation or older generation?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that oh man, you're challenging my generation knowledge here, but that
Well,
generation that was
I
kind
mean,
of
this is
late.
This ain't no walk in the park. The Bulldog
Yeah,
Brew.
yeah.
These boys are tough.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, yeah.
You're not gonna come in here and just start selling newly, okay? We'll talk about that later,
No,
okay?
just you wait. Oh, that sounds like a challenge, Steve. Yeah, uncomfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I think the generation that was late teens, early adulthood, that's a pretty transformative time in an individual's life,
Mm-hmm.
and that was for a lot of people was very disrupted. Some
Mm-hmm.
of I think societal milestones are things like graduation from high school,
Yeah, yeah.
graduation from post-secondary,
Yeah.
moving out, getting
Yeah,
a job,
yeah.
your first roommate,
Yeah.
those kind of things, going to university, going to technical college, getting a job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Those things were drastically changed.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's individual routines, but there's also, like you talked about, societal routines.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that generation was probably they were left to kind of figure that out. There was no roadmap. We hadn't had this before. No one had shut down the world before that.
Yeah, but we've been in wars before.
Not in my lifetime.
Yeah, but World War One, World War Two.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Canada and America were never really affected by an invasion like in World War Two.
Yeah.
But people are learning online since COVID.
Yeah.
You think that's a good thing, or they should be going to university and actually having the social interaction with other students?
I think the social interaction is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Why
important.
Is that?
I don't know. There seems to be an innate kind of need for humans to socialize to some extent. Do they have to be social butterflies and go out every day? No. Yeah. But I think that we do crave social interaction. I think humans have lived in groups forever. Yeah. If someone is completely isolated, most people would say like that's probably not normal.
Well, I know those guys that live up in Alaska. They move up there and they live in a log cabin by themselves. To get away from society. Yeah,
and I think society would probably say like that's different.
Yeah, but to that guy, it's normal. Like he wants his peace and quiet.
For sure,
he probably has a less stressful life than the consumer attitude in the world, like buy and all that
definitely.
Stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then what do you think?
So we're probably going to find somewhere in the middle.
I'm interested in your background as a mental health RN. Mm-hmm. What do you think of work from home? Do you think that's a good program, or people should get back in the office, or have a hybrid system?
Yeah. Myself, I do a lot better, working at the office.
Yeah. And why is that? If I told you that you have to work at home and you can't come to the Newley Institute on 4th Street,
you'd have to figure it out.
Why do you like coming to the office?
I think the space, the environment, collaboration with my colleagues, you get to see the clients, you get to see what's actually happening. Yeah. Like I do a lot of work, I guess now, a lot of my work at the Newley is behind the scenes to begin with, or a lot of virtual meetings. So it's really great to be reminded of the work that's actually happening. So when I'm in the clinic, when I'm talking to my colleagues or the clinical staff and getting updates about how, like I talked to a lot of the clients on the early end, but to see how they transformed and how that changed at the end, and to actually see it happening, see people collaborating, for myself is really refreshing and energizing, absolutely. I think work from home or hybrid systems probably create a lot of flexibility that has benefits at the home life, right? In terms of, kid drop-off, kid pickup, transportation, child care, just probably reduced travel, all these kind of things. It's probably easier to access a job. You could work, there's a lot of jobs now that have probably gone fully remote and you can do this job anywhere. Does every job need to be in the office? Probably not.
So do you guys work from home or do you work in the clinic?
I work primarily in the office. I'm lucky. I do have flexibility if I need to work from home, or I can, but primarily in the office. Because all the treatment that we do, like all the clinicians, they're working face-to-face with people. I would say
there's no online.
We do offer virtual services, but clients are overwhelmingly requesting in-person services in our clinic.
Why is that?
I think there's something about talking to people in a vulnerable way through a screen that doesn't feel as restorative or personable.
Yeah. Okay. You can't. Connect with your psychologist.
Yeah. Okay. There's really great psychologists that can make connections, really great treatment providers that can make connections virtually. Yeah. So I'm not really commenting on their ability. It's more what I'm seeing is overwhelmingly clients are asking to come in person. I think there's also something about going to a designated space. This space is for therapy. You do this in this space, as opposed to doing that in your living room or your bedroom or that kind of thing. Or they say like, don't watch TV in your bedroom. Your bedroom, is for certain activities.
It's bad, Qi or Fuji or whatever it's called, that Chinese theory. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I like coming to the office. Yeah. Like, if I'm going to do work, it's going to be in the office. Yeah. Home is home. It's a separation. Yeah. I don't think of myself getting up in the morning, getting my coffee in my pajamas, going down to my den and start working my PJs all night with slippers on all day. I just don't think that's a job.
No, I don't think so
it's a good idea, but I mean, do you see society going to more of online, or eventually they're going to come back to the office and work like more of a hybrid kind of system?
I mean, I guess a lot of the people I know in my personal and professional circles are certainly going back to the office. Okay. Yeah, I think, I've read things about productivity challenges with work from home.
And what have you read about? Because this is an ongoing issue no matter what society is. I mean, obviously not in like third world countries, if you're
Yeah.
living on a village. But what
Yeah.
what have you read about studies about productivity? Is it better to be in the office?
To be in the office.
And
yeah.
why is that?
Yeah.
What do those studies say?
The studies, I guess, that I'm familiar with is that, and who knows who's funded, maybe it's the employers doing the studies, is that they found that their employee, the productivity had gone down when people are working from home, and so a large amount of employers are bringing people back to the office,
Okay,
right?
all right,
And so that's got to be pretty serious, because they're probably saving, like, if you could have a large majority of your workforce working from home, you'd save a lot of money on rent, right? Like in these big companies. So if they're willing to sustain the expense of rent and have people in the office, obviously they feel that it's worth it for them. Right?
Yeah, but there's also like the charm of having a nice office coming here. You got clients that come in like, this is a nice office. I don't think you want. Would you like to hire a lawyer that you just met at the Esso gas station, signing you up as your?
No, I definitely would. If it was a Shell, maybe, but no.
Filling up your gas with you unleaded and getting a Timbit and the coffee. You don't want to do that kind of lawyer?
I wouldn't. No,
or a
I wouldn't
doctor,
have that
family
kind of
doctor,
lawyer. No,
checking out your throat in the Slurpee section of 7-Eleven.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. No, I want to see a good office. I guess that's true. When I come here, this looks like a professional place. It's nice. I think it's a reflection of the service that I'm likely to experience.
Okay.
I've seen, you collaborating with your team members, and I see people working, and that to me is certainly reassuring to say, they're doing something here.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we talked about mental health. I just find it fascinating because my dad always said, it's like 10% talent, 90% mental.
Yeah.
If you think you can't do it, then you can't do it.
Yeah.
Like you read studies about Michael Jordan and how he had a personal coach.
Yeah.
Like all these high-end athletes. I mean, how do they go to the next level? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I watch. Do you watch sports at all? NFL, hockey, anything like that?
Absolutely.
So why does someone like Tom Brady, who's drafted in the 7th round, become the most famous quarterback in the history of NFL? Is it mentally more than physically?
Yeah,
you know
I
what
think
I'm saying?
so. I think everyone who comments on Tom Brady, they talk about his mindset.
Yeah, but he was a bottom draft pick. He was the bottom of the bottom, and now how many Super Bowls he won? 6, maybe? Seven. And he's going to be a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But how does a guy like that go to be so great, and then you get a number 1 pick, first overall, and he turns out to be a bust in 2 years? You understand?
Yeah. That's always fascinated me. The number 1 picks, the amounts as well. I mean, I'm an Oakland Raiders fan.
Well, they suck, dude.
Yeah, they
just lost to the Cowboys.
They
lost to the Cleveland Browns. Maybe you should go.
They've lost to pretty much everyone. Okay, the list goes on.
Well, maybe you should go down to Vegas and be their RN mental health nurse.
Maybe I could
pump up their attitude and get better on the field.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, am I allowed to kind of Mike? Yeah, for sure.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, Mike Davis. Yeah, for sure. Mark Davis, if he sees me, consider it, for sure. But how do you get these superstar people that don't pan out as well? And I'm sure there's a lot of complex. There's probably a variety of things there that go into it, but a lot of every athlete, it comes down to work ethic, but also their mindset too. Because there's probably a ton of people, I guess even my athletic career, some people who worked terribly hard, who were really hard workers and didn't have success. So it can't all be work ethic. There just needs to be a certain mindset. And I don't know if we're taught those skills unless maybe your parents or you have an influence or a teacher that makes, specifically an intention, like sounds like your dad did, to teach people those skills. If you're not exposed to those skills, pretty challenging pretty abstract to learn on your own.
So do you think the school system should teach kids in elementary,
so.
Be tough? I mean, don't give up. We're all.
And there's a balance, because part of being tough is also being able. You can't be too hard on yourself.
No.
If you're always ripping yourself down, you're not gonna.
Well, that's not gonna help. We gotta like we have a saying in the office. The glass isn't half empty; it's half full.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah.
Don't look at the negative. Focus on the positive.
Yeah.
There's gonna be, you've been an RN. You work at the Newly Institute, which is a great place.
Yeah.
There's bad days and good days. Correct.
Definitely. Yes.
You just don't walk in and all of a sudden there's a patient screaming and yelling, mad.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's a cherry on the top of a sundae every day. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I would not agree with that. No, there's certainly hard days, and I think you have to approach anything that you do with a mindset that what can you learn from that,
Yeah.
or what can you take from that, or just
Yeah.
sometimes, accepting and understanding like that was really hard, or I messed that up.
Yeah.
Right. I think the idea of one of the concepts of mental health is self-compassion, and it can seem really foreign, and it can feel kind of like, I think high-achieving people might feel like, oh, that's letting yourself off the hook, but I think it's actually sometimes the opposite. It's understanding and sitting with things that didn't go, things that didn't go well, or bad days, and instead of just avoiding that, which isn't helpful, really being able to sit through it and come out better on the other side of it, which I think is what everyone wants to do.
Well,
right?
you're in competitive sports,
Yeah.
obviously freestyle
Yeah.
wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, you lost matches, didn't you?
Definitely.
Did you just
Yeah.
quit?
Lots. No.
You got up the
Nope.
next day and started training harder,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So failure's
definitely.
part of life.
Yeah.
You
for
think
sure.
that's a big aspect of mental health?
sure.
Like people don't accept failure?
Yeah. Or are afraid of failure. For
everyone's
sure.
scared to fail, but
Yeah, seeing
I-
good athletes who don't put themselves
Yeah,
out there.
yeah.
I mean, I've been in that situation. You might not be as aggressive in a competition or even in in business or in life because you don't want to get the idea of failure, right? Rejection. You might not want to talk to someone
Yeah.
or things like that because of the idea of failure.
Yeah,
So-
but at the end of the day, I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you as a lawyer, in my life, I would rather talk about failures because I've learned so much more from my failures than my successes. Would
Yeah.
you agree with that?
yeah, definitely.
Okay, all right.
Definitely. Well,
So-
yeah,
so
I think the
let's-
Raiders might need you.
Huh?
The Raiders might need
Well,
you,
if they
not
want to
me.
pay me $10 million US, I'll go down
There
there
you
and you
go.
can come along as the RN
All right, yeah.
nurse.
Yeah.
So the Newly Institute, I know you're working there, you're business development.
Yep.
And tell my viewers a little, like a synopsis of what the Newly's all about.
Okay,
It's a
for
chronic
sure.
pain kind of center, is that
For sure.
correct?
Chronic pain is one of the aspects. So
Yeah.
we would say that we are a mental health, chronic pain, and addictions organization, and
Yeah.
we provide what is called like outpatient treatment, so people don't stay with us. And we do everything across the spectrum from one-to-one therapy, meeting with a therapist, a psychologist, to talk about your concerns, all the way to intensive outpatient programming and everything in between. So an intensive outpatient program is usually, you're there multiple days a week, probably 4 to 5 days a week. There, it's very comprehensive. There's a variety of different professionals working with you, all in unison, and those can be anywhere from 4 weeks to 20 weeks, or even longer sometimes, to get people where they need to be at the level that they want to be at. as
So
well,
can
too.
anyone off the public just access Newly, or do
Absolutely.
you have certain clientele
Absolutely.
that you're looking for?
So we have specific clientele, like we have specific arrangements in place to work with first responders or through WCB or veterans, RCMP,
Yeah.
Canadian Armed Forces, those kind of things where we can provide our services to those individuals because of some of our specialties.
Yeah.
But we also work with a large amount of people from the public as well too. And
Okay.
earlier we talked about access. And a lot of people are willing to, so not all of our services are covered under the Alberta healthcare, provincial healthcare plans.
Well, I found out, like, we have a very interesting healthcare system
Yeah.
in Canada. There's not much that really covers it.
Yeah.
But we do have a better system than America. Like there is a socialistic healthcare system.
Yeah, I think in
Yeah.
terms of access and things like that.
But can
for
you
sure.
access? Well, if someone on the street heard this podcast and say, you know what, I'm interested in Newly Institute, I want to walk in there. Can they bill Alberta? Can you bill Alberta healthcare, or is it more of
For
a
small
two-tier?
parts, it's
Small
primarily through self-funding,
Yeah.
or through utilizing their healthcare,
Yeah.
like their benefits, insurance benefits,
Mm-hmm.
or extended healthcare benefits, or through like health spending accounts, those kind of things as well too. And
So-
so things are designed
yeah.
really purposely
Yeah.
to help people get the most out of that and reduce any self-funding or any personal cost. But there can be those aspects.
So getting on that topic now, has healthcare in Alberta or Canada become more of a two-tier system now?
Oh, now
No.
we're getting into the complicated
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
You're
well,
really killing me.
this
I think that there seems to be momentum moving to that direction.
Yeah.
And I think that momentum, it's a contentious topic. Some people are firmly against the two-tier system. Some people really want it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Canadians have difficulties understanding a two-tiered system.
So what's a two-tier system to you? I mean,
to
I
me-
hear it's like it's a two-step. It's like
To me, that's-
two-step dancing and cowboys.
yeah, yeah, a little more complicated than
Okay,
that.
so
Well,
what's
I don't know.
two-tier?
There's some complicated
Everyone
two-step.
talks about two-tier healthcare.
So
What is a
my
two-tier?
exposure to a two-tier system,
Yeah.
two-tier, I don't even know if that makes it sound like one is better than
Yeah,
the
yeah.
other. But a public-private system
Yeah.
is that where there are public offerings available, like as we have now, but that private for-profit options, or sometimes even not-for-profit, but essentially things outside of the healthcare system are able to operate and provide services to people. Now, those usually aren't covered. They require self-funding or insurance funding. Every country has different models. I worked in Australia where they have this model, and I found it in my line of work to be very beneficial as well. And I think, though, that one thing in Canada is I think aspects of this model have existed for a long time. Like, people have been paying for addictions treatment for years. People have been going to, Vancouver Island. They've been going to California. They've been going out of country to pay for addictions treatment.
I run a personal injury practice, and like to go an MRI, you got to wait 2 years to get in the system. I can get them in the private clinic within 24 hours and pay for it.
Yeah, so the public, this kind of idea of two-tier or public and private has existed for a long. We've seen it in surgical, right? Private surgical suites that sometimes are even have partnerships with the public system. Diagnostics, right? Like MRIs, X-ray, those kind of things are primarily run by private companies, right? So I think it exists more than we're probably aware of. And the concern is always that the private system will make the public system worse somehow. And I'm sure there's tons of information that I'm not aware of, but the exposure I've had where there's both options, I found was terribly beneficial. The people who could afford to carry insurance or to pay for their care were not in the public system, leaving the public system for people who needed that system, and they weren't, increasing the triage lines in the public hospitals. They weren't taking up beds. They said, I want a certain expectation around access, or I want to go to a private hospital for whatever their reason was, and I saw it to be helpful. Now, I'm open to discussions on that. I can only talk about what I saw, but I saw it beneficial.
So the Newly Institute, you have psychologists, physiotherapists, counselors all work together. And
Psychiatrists, addictions medicine, chronic
big
pain
whole
experts.
Holistic attitude to attack chronic pain and mental.
It's really interdisciplinary, and we mean the interdisciplinary part. So there's lots of places that you can access all those different individuals. But I've even worked in some of these where the system is set up that it's like a silo. They're not actually working together. That work is done very separate, but sure, it's under one roof.
But you have a whole team that helps with one patient.
Woven into our fabric of every Newly clinic is interdisciplinary collaboration, so that they really are working together and benefiting from one another, so that the synergy from the psychologist is benefiting the work that's done with an occupational therapist or a kinesiologist or the psychiatrist, that it's not just kind of one-off, here's a kind of a checkbox here. It really meant to work together.
And what's the wait time to get into Newly?
The wait time, it ranges depending on the program. I would say anywhere from 1 week to when it's terribly busy, 3 weeks. We do put a lot of efforts to make sure people can get in quickly, or at the minimum start that intake and assessment process so that we can provide some supports, stabilization prior to the treatment as well.
And where are you located here in Calgary?
In Calgary, we're in Mission, so very central location.
What road is
4th
that
Street, 23rd Avenue Southwest.
Oh, you're near Mercado's?
Yep,
right
just
across from
diagonal. Right across from Mercado.
Is there a Famosa Italian
Yeah,
pizza
in the
place?
same building.
Okay.
Famosa's not there any longer.
Where are they going to?
They closed.
I heard they had some
closed.
healthcare issues or something.
I heard that as well.
So what's in there now? Nothing?
Nothing in there right now.
Why don't you guys take over the space and start selling ice cream and pizzas on the side?
Yeah, everyone feels good. Yeah, maybe something more nutritious, but a bit of that too.
And do you have locations across Canada too?
Locations across Canada. So Calgary was the first one.
Yeah.
Then we opened in Fredericton. Then shortly after
Fredericton,
Edmonton,
New Brunswick.
Fredericton, New Brunswick. People always ask why. A big part of the Newly's work is trauma work. New Brunswick has the highest per capita population of veterans in Canada.
Bigger than Nova Scotia?
Bigger than Nova Scotia.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know
To
that.
my knowledge,
Yeah.
They have Canada's largest military base, CFB Gagetown, is
Yeah.
just outside of Fredericton.
Okay.
And a big part of what gave us our push was working with veterans. That was in demand.
Yeah.
They also have a lot of RCMP.
Yeah.
And some of the first responders in the city of Fredericton were incredibly supportive of us, helping us get our roots there. So Fredericton, Edmonton.
Yeah.
Then we opened in Kelowna, and most recently in Halifax as well too.
I was just in Halifax like 3 days ago.
Yeah,
It's
it's
colder
beautiful.
there than Calgary, that
Really?
because that damn
humidity.
Atlantic Ocean, water and the breeze coming off.
It's humid. Yeah,
it's humid. It's chilly. I prefer the weather in Calgary any day, even with this bad snow.
Even with snow. It's always sunny here, which is nice, you know.
So at the end of the day, obviously, you know, we wish you best with Newly. I know you spoke with us. You educated a lot of the patrons at the PSA about Newly. And obviously, we're coming up to the Christmas season. Any plans for the holidays coming up for you and your family?
You know, I have a young family and three little kids, so we keep it usually close to home, and we're lucky. Our both sets of grandparents are really close.
Here in Calgary?
Here in Calgary. We got a lot of extended family.
Yeah.
And I think the holidays are really special with the young kids, at least for me, seeing them, how excited they are. And everyone wants to kind of see their excitement, so we do our best to share that across the family and attend the different events and hopefully just spend some time with each other. Right?
So are you staying in Calgary?
Staying in town.
Okay.
Yeah,
and you guys have a Christmas dinner at all?
Yeah, we'll have a Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
We'll probably do something New Year's Eve, you know, with one side of the family, and then we'll have Christmas dinner, probably something Christmas morning. The kids get excited to open presents and see what Santa brought them, and usually we'll make brunch or something like that, feed everyone as well.
Okay. So what's your favorite dish at Christmas time?
Oh, man, good question. My favorite dish at Christmas time, I really like stuffing.
Stuffing.
Yeah,
I like
really
stuffing.
How about you? What's your favorite?
Do you do stuffing with anchovies in it? My mom used to make it with anchovies.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, I'll give you my mom's special recipe.
Okay.
I'll ask one of my sisters for it.
Yeah.
I used to throw out the anchovies.
I don't know if I put the anchovies in. I think it's usually pretty good.
Yeah, and I do like pumpkin pie.
Yeah,
you know,
that's good.
And get some some of that
Yeah.
whipped cream, you know, the Barber's shaving cream, whipped cream,
Stuff in the can,
the cheap stuff, $4.
Yeah. Usually fill up on the baking before dinner, and then I'm too full. You know, the cookies, the shortbread cookies, ginger cookies, that kind of stuff.
But no plans for the holiday. Just are you gonna be working during Christmas that Newly, or are you shutting down?
We'll work right up to the Christmas Day.
Yeah, 24th?
Yeah,
okay.
We'll be there.
And
We're
then when
closed
you
the
reopen?
25th, 26th, and then back on the 27th is long. We're closed on the weekend, so I think the 27th for some reason, I think that's a Saturday.
You're back on the, let me just see, the 20.
Nathan, can you pull that up?
22nd. Let me just check it. Let me just see.
Yeah.
Give me a second. I think, let's check my iPhone. Christmas is on, it's on a Thursday, Boxing Day on Friday. And then you guys back on the 29th.
We're back on the 29th. We're closed on the 1st, but we're there on the 2nd. We're there on the 31st.
You guys just working.
Working.
Taking care of those patients, obviously, hey?
Yeah, we try to always provide as much access as possible.
Are you guys busy during the Christmas season with patients? People?
Yeah, we're busy.
Yeah,
we're busy. It can be, as much as it's an exciting time, it can also be a really challenging time for people as
Christmas
well, too.
holidays.
Yeah, Christmas holidays.
All right.
When I worked at a different addiction clinic, we kind of prepared in the team to probably lose a client or two every Christmas season, which just showed the other side of that.
And you're talking addictions like alcohol and drugs?
Alcohol,
Have you seen an
opiates,
increase in addictions with COVID? Or no?
Well,
problems with it?
When I worked at the opioid dependency program, there was certainly an uptake throughout COVID. There was a lot more clients. I don't know if that was specific to COVID or just the fentanyl crisis in general. Yeah. But definitely, usually isolation and change in routine is not good for substance use disorders. Yeah, okay. Especially, right. So. Okay.
Yeah, we're actively involved in Fresh Start. They're good.
Great.
And you're going to be at our Christmas party on Saturday. Yep, okay, well, there. I look forward to. You got a table, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for buying the table. Yeah. You're gonna have a great time, and I thank you for taking the time to be on here. I'm very interested in mental health. It's just something my dad taught me as a doctor and learning as a son. And also, obviously, I know you guys are doing great work helping out first responders. Yep. And if anyone wants access to your system, it's a private system, so it's not a long wait time.
That's right.
And then I wish you the best over the holiday season, okay?
Well, thanks. Yeah, the best to you as well,
All right.
Steve.
Well, wish you all the best to you and your family. And everyone out there, the holidays are here. And until next month, our next episode of the Bulldog Brewhouse Podcast, check that one out. We're going to be live from beautiful Banff, Alberta. And hopefully we'll have a lot of nice snow and good Christmas weather out there during our filming out there. And everyone have a great Black Friday and happy holidays. And see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
The Bulldog Brewhouse Podcast.